Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. Voice of the Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay Atenista, sa loob sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero, sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing giting at tigil, blue and white, one big fight. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan.
All Kaps, mga Atenista, it's time to level up! Your top variety program showcasing the best in media and other fields. As we feature the most loved personalities and the best practices of what we truly refer to as Magis. Together with multi-awarded multimedia guru Mr. Noel Ferrer, let's all level up every Fridays from 3 to 6 p.m. here on Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Level up.
All Kaps, mga kapamilya, kapuso, kapatid, kabarkada, mga Katipuneros. It's time to level up with your host, multi-awarded multimedia guru Noel Ferrer here on All Kaps, Ateneo Level Up.
Paulit-ulit kang nagplano. Paulit-ulit ngunit lagi din naman nababago. Wag mo na kayang palampasin, wag na wag mo na kayang palampasin, wag na wag mo na kayang patagalin, tenanaw mo na gawin mo na.
Well, ask later. Huwag na. Ang haba ng kwento. Huwag na.
Anyway, all good, all ready, all the best. Level up sa ganap, level up sa saya, mas daring, mas edgy, level up sa wawa. Gusto natin bago mag-weekend break, meron tayong magandang baon para sa bakasyon. And as always, we shall level up in terms of relevance and goodwill. Lahat ng kulay, lahat ng opinion, pwedeng palutangin. And today, as the very first episode in our Arts Month celebration, I'm truly honored to have the best in music in the country. And of course, the context is this. We have the very first National Music Awards called Gawad Sudi. Ngayon, may dalawa tayong kasama dito na kasama natin sa pagbuo ng Gawad Sudi. Of course, we have national artists, the chairman of the Sudi jury, Maestro Ryan Cayabyab. Hello, Mr. C. Magandang hapon. Finally, maluluwal na natin ang Gawad Sudi.
Hi, Noel. Kamusta? Actually, ikaw yung may pasimuno nito. Ikaw yung nagsimula. Inibita mo lang kami. At napasama kami sa iyong magandang idea. Na actually, di ba kayong dalawa ni National Artist Virgilio Almario yung nag-uusap about the National Music Awards. Tama ba, Noel?
Yes, sir. Kasi nga po, parang ang daming mga award-giving bodies na may categories, di ba? May iba't ibang categories. But we wanted to acknowledge and to recognize yung noteworthy contributions po ng mga gumagawa ng musika, nagtuturo ng musika, yun, people who live music, no? At yun, buti nag-backtrack tayo ng 2 dekada at yun, parang nabibigyan natin ng recognition yung mga taong karapat-dapat. And also we have, yan, the awards committee awards officer ng National Commission of the Culture and Arts, si Isabel T, na pwede nating tawaging doktor. Hello, Dr. Isabel.
No. Hi, Noel. Yeah, it's great to be here. And I'm so happy na finally launching this project na I think we started this 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was such a journey, and I'm just really happy that we're finally launching it this year and that we're honoring all these amazing creators and musical achievements.
Ang galing, no? I remember, it was the SEA Games, Age of SEA Games,
Yeah.
no? First meeting natin, no? Na tipong, okay, people were focusing on sports, na okay, dapat yata meron talaga sa music, na music awards.
Yeah.
And yun, naging national artist si Mr. C, sabi natin, okay, dapat may ganong rallying point, na yung katutuwa natin pag binigyan natin ng award at lahat mahal natin yung mga taong nabibigyan ng award kasi long overdue yung recognition. Mr. C, talk about the Sudi Awards and the whole process. Siguro pwede na rin mag-jam si Isabel, no? The process that we went through in selecting the finalists and eventually the winners.
Yes, Noel, there was a working technical group, and we were tasked, actually, merong isang grupo, we were tasked to look for or nominate in the past 20 years kung sino yung mga outstanding Filipino musicians, Filipino researchers, teachers, mga composers, and individual acts, even bands, even venues, no, that have contributed. It was very important to say that they had contributed to the growth of Philippine music in all genres. This was, ito yung pinapok sa mga utak namin nung nagsisimula kami, lahat ng possible genre na iniikutan ng musikang Pilipino. So, it could be academic, classical, or it could be concert, or it could be original Filipino music, or it could be ethnic music, tribal music, anyone who had... but we were also cautioned na meron mga awards na for living treasures, may awards na yung talagang gumagawa nung, for example, yung tattoo artist natin, meron tawag doon sa award na yun yung treasure yacht, living treasure yacht. Isabel, baka alam mo kung ano yun, hindi ko na maalala kung ano yun.
Apo, yung po yung Gamaba Award.
Yeah, that's right. Meron ng mga ganon. So, this was what was emphasized for this particular award, itong National Music Awards, was to give importance or bigyan natin ng ilaw yung mga taong nag-contribute ng malaki sa music ng Pilipinas. Could be the music industry, or it could be in the sa academics, or it could be research, or it could be performance. All the gamut, the entire gamut. So we had a technical group, and that technical group started nominating, giving out names. Medyo madami ho, mahaba-haba yung listahan yon. Kaya kung kasama kayo sa awardees, gusto ko na sabihin, madami din marami pa din tayo talagang na kung pwedeng bigyan silang lahat ng recognition. Marami talagang outstanding musicians, no, na especially sa mga probinsya, meron mga movements. Meron mga movements sa Visayas, sa Mindanao, at kung saan-saan pa, meron diyan mga movements na nagpapaganda o may magandang Tagalog term dyan. So, eventually, ito nga, after we had ito nalista natin yung yung tawag nating long list.
Oh, yeah.
Pagkatapos na malista yung long list, ay gumawa ng research. So ang NCCA, meron silang isang grupo na researchers. Hindi ho,
Na hindi alam
Yeah.
ng mga nominees, no? Ang galing nun.
exactly. Kumbaga parang investigative research on the nominees, on all the nominees na nandun sa... the reason why the research was done so that when the names were parang inilatag na dun sa Board of Jurors, lahat sila, makikita nila yung dossier o yung kung ano yung investigation na ginawa doon sa bawat isa doon sa mga nominees doon sa long list na yon, no? So ayan, pagkatapos doon pumunta siya sa Board of Jurors. Alam niyo, hindi naman ako yung parang ako, mukha ko lang yun doon, pero basically yung Board of Jurors natin, may 3 doktor dyan, merong head ng industries like for example ng KBP, ng OPM, ng isang broadcast group, no? So kung makikita yung listahan,
may mga doktor talaga from academe na
right. Exactly. That's why siyempre meron ding mga debate, meron ding mga kailangan pag-usapan talaga yan. So pagkatapos pag-usapan yan, eto na si Isabel T. Siya po yung nag-collate nitong lahat. Lingid sa lahat ng kaalaman ng mga ibang tao, si Isabel ay hindi lang siya NCCA, siya po ay isang composer. Isa din siyang UP Music graduate in composition. Bating naman, nag-research ako sa iyo, Isabel, kala mo. Yon, Noel.
Yun. So, ang kaibahan din, Mr. C, of course, we have awit, mix, CMMA, may Katha dati, may Wish Awards na ngayon. Yung kaibahan din dito yata dun sa ibang award-giving bodies ay yun yung mga nominees hindi nila alam na nominado sila at hindi nila kailangang patunayan yung worth nila, no? Parang kasi meron yung iba, bibigyan ka na nga lang ng award, grabe pa yung interview or grabe pang kailangan ipaglaban mo yung sarili nyo. Pero ngayon, yung accomplishments nyo, yung body of works mo, yun yung magsasalita para sa inyo. Tsaka yung highest standards of excellence, but at a certain point, makikita mo yung mga taong napili, merong certain point of service to the community. May ganon, may pagbabalik sa komunidad. Yun. So there's a community beyond them, their persona. So nice to introduce them, some of them here na kasama natin sa Zoom. Of course. Okay, at pag-uusapan natin yung kanilang natatanging kontribusyon habang pinapakilala natin sila. First up, we have Professor Carmencita Chit Arambolo. Ma'am Chit, magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon din sa inyong lahat. So,
good afternoon. Ma'am Chit, ito po, you're an educator, you're a great piano teacher. Ma'am Chit, when you first learned and got that letter na telling you that you're one of the awardees, Sudi awardees, ano po yung naramdaman niyo? Ano yung reaction niyo po?
ako nagulat ako. Si Rica sabi niya, Mami, meron palang letter dito. Sabi niya gano'n kasi hindi ko binubuksan yung aking email madalas.
Kailangan
Sabi ni Rica, Mami, meron
alcohol.
Sabi ko, ano ba yan? So nagulat ako talaga. Nagpapasalamat ako sa inyo, sa NCCA, sa recognition na ito, at malaking karangalan. Sabi ko nga sa mga estudyante ko, dahil ang daming nagko-congratulate sa akin, sabi ko, bahagi kayo nito. Bahagi kayo nitong honor na ito. Dahil kung wala kayo, wala. Sabi ko sa kanila, pati sa mga magulang, no? Ganon. So ako naman ay natutuwa ako at nagpapasalamat ako sa inyo at sa Panginoon Diyos. Sabi ko na eto, sabi nga nung isang Ilocanong kaibigan ko, na Sudi tinagan mo.
Ang galing ng Sudi.
Sudi.
Ibig sabihin,
distinguished, no?
Is, sa Ilocano, sabi ko naman sa kanya, Diyos tagina, sapagkat may pagka-Ilocano rin ako, ang mother ko Ilocana . So, sinagot ko siya, tuwan-tuwa siya.
Okay.
Ganun.
So Sudi means to illustrious, celebrated,
Famous.
no?
Oo.
Yeah, respected. So, ang galing. Well, before Mr. C talks, Isabel, Isi, can you talk about like the credentials lang of Ma'am Chit? Ano, why was she like dun sa discussion ng jury? Ano yung main points ng kanyang recognition and achievement?
I want to say it was mainly because of yung impact niya as a teacher to all the students as well as to the piano teachers in the Philippines. That was really one of the main points that I got from observing the jury, the board of juries. Tapos as well as her achievements rin in syempre the Suzuki Association. Tapos it's mainly really her teaching, what she paved through the years.
At hindi lang basta-basta estudyante yung mga naging estudyante niya.
Yes.
Sila mismo parang naging tagahubog din ng iba't ibang mga tao. Katulad ni Mr. C. Mr. C, you're one of the students of Ma'am Chit, Louis Ocampo. We can talk about Manoling Francisco. Any other? Well, Sir Joey Ayala was talking about his wife as yun naturuan din ni Ma'am Chit. Yan po yung impact ninyo. At hanggang ngayon, Ma'am Chit, tell us, you're teaching pa rin po.
I'm still actively teaching online. Dito sa studio, busy rin ako sa trabaho ko sa Philippine Suzuki Association as a teacher trainer, as an examiner, and an advisor. Tapos, tinuturuan namin yung mga teachers ng tips and tools on how to teach na online teaching. And now I'm giving webinars on professional development. Yes, every third Sunday of this year, I'll be giving webinars. I already started in January, and then in 2 days, I'll have another one. And it's participated on by not just the locals, dahil nung last time, it was the locals, but foreigners. Nagulat ako. Ang dami mga foreigners na sumasapi. So, and it's sponsored by the Philippine Suzuki Association. So, magandang magandang contribution yan. Tapos, nagbibigay ako ng master classes sa mga teachers at saka nag-a-assess ako ng mga graduation ng mga bata. Lahat ako punong-puno ako ng mga examinations. I had 62 examinees just for the year 2020. And then, gine-grade ko sila para to maintain high standards in piano teaching. So tapos yung mga teachers, binibigyan ko ng refresher courses. Kasi ngayon, naman, mga tao, nalulungkot sila walang training. Dahil ang training ay mahirap gawin. So binibigyan ko sila ng webinars. So sa Sunday, eto na, magbibigay ako ng second webinar ko.
Wow!
Oo. Tapos, 2 oras yan. Tapos, I pass on videos of my good students to the teachers as models. Ganyan.
That's right, yeah.
Oo. At saka, alam nyo, yung mga teachers, nalulungkot sila. Minsan, mahilig kasi ako sa Facebook, sa Messenger, sa Bible. So, kinukumusta ko lang sila minsan. Kasi minsan nalulungkot sila. So, ina-encourage ko sila. Tsaka, medyo motivate ko sila na to go on, to keep the music playing. Sabi ko, alam mo, music nagpapasaya ng mga tao. Sabi ko, magpasaya tayo ng mga iba. So pag nagpapa-recital ako ng mga bata, once every 2 months, tuwang-tuwa ang mga parents. Kasi yung mga bata, trabaho ng trabaho. At saka gustong-gusto nila magkaroon ng Zoom recital. So every 2 months yan, alam nila. Tapos nakipag-friendship concert pa kami sa Indonesia. Nako, tuwang-tuwa yung mga Indonesians dahil nakikita nila yung level ng proficiency ng mga Pilipino. Gusto daw nilang tularan tayo.
Kaya, ma'am, wala ko kayong kapaguran. Parang, ma'am, paano po? Anong fulfillment na bibigay sa inyo ng pagtuturo nyong ganyan, ma'am?
Masaya ako. Parang, I'm like fish in the water when I'm teaching. So yung ginagawa ko, the nice thing about it is I love what I'm doing.
That's good.
Right,
But
yeah.
I love my students. Mahal ko mga estudyante ko, parang pamilya. Pati kanilang mga magulang, nagiging parang mga kamag-anak ko na sila dahil matagal na rin sila nag-aaral sa akin from 4 years old until 19 or 20. Meron pa akong 23 years old, sige pa rin ang sige ng aral. So sabi ko, para ko ng mga kamag-anak sila, second family ko na yung mga yan. So natutuwa ako.
Let's learn from your pivoting, ma'am. Yun po yung word ngayon, no? Yung nagpi-pivot yung mga tao to online classes. Hindi ho kayo nahirapan, ma'am?
Mahirap. Lalo na magturo ng beginner. Mahirap. Napakahirap. You need the parent beside the child.
Okay.
You know? So the parent is very, very important. Because they act as home teachers. Natutuwa naman ako doon sa mga parents ko na napaka following these instructions sila.
Ang galing.
Oo, yun ang sinusunod nila, no? At saka, katakot-takot yung aming contact sa communication sa isa't isa. Grabe. Kaya matuwang-tuwa ako sa kanila. I'm very proud of the home teachers, the Suzuki parents, no? Dahil sila talagang masigasig, you know, sumusubaybay sa kanilang mga anak. At saka sabi ko nga, grabe ngayon ang pag-aaral sa academics. Sobrang daming mga homework ng mga kabataan. Sabi ko, kailangan ninyo ng balanse. Paminsan-minsan naman, yan, i-insert ninyo yung piano practice ninyo. Huwag nyo kakalimutan. Dahil yan pampagaan ng loob, no? At saka balanse para sa mga bata. Sabi kong ganon. Not only that, music makes the brain smarter. Sabi ko, pag sinabi ko yan, ng mga parents talagang talaga. Next.
Totoo yun, totoo. I believe that. It's true.
The music makes the brain smarter. Gustong-gusto yan nila. At saka hindi lang yun, you know, it's social, no? Ha? That's nagiging, sabi ko, that's a plus to a person, no? Who has culture, who knows music. Added value yan, sabi ko sa mga parents. Added value yan para sa mga anak ninyo. Kaya, naman.
Thank you for adding that value and inspiring all of us, ma'am. So, Mr. C, ano po yung impact ni Ma'am Chit sa inyo? What kind of a teacher is she? Ano yung, kayo po yung isa sa mga naging produkto po ng school na yun?
Nako, kaya nga naging ganito ako. Parang, ginagaya ko nga si Mrs. Arambulo eh. Sabi ko, ang pinaka-impression sa akin nung first time ko siya naging teacher, alam nyo, yung ilang taon na niya tinuturo yon, pero pagka tinuturo niya the same subject, parang excited siya lagi. So, pati tuloy yung mga estudyante na excite. For example, of course, ilang taon na niya tinuturo na gano'n. Pero pagka ikaw, first timer mo lang marinig yun, pagka in-explain niya na ganito, tingnan mo, di ba ang ganda niyang chord na yan? Tapos pupunta yan dyan sa ganyang chord na yan. You know, very, very magnetic yung personality ni ma'am to the point na that is why nung ako na yung nagtuturo ng subject matter na yun sa College of Music, nung wala na si Mrs. Arambulo, my God, di parang ako na yung parang Mrs. Arambulo Jr.
You have to make it sound new, di ba? You have to make it sound new and
Proud ako.
Buhay na buhay.
Exactly. So,
more of your stories mamaya. Yeah. Okay. We go to the next awardee na kasama natin, yung DZFE FM. Di ba ang ganda na isang radio station, makikilala, ang tawag sa kanila the Master's Touch. Represented today by Tiffany Leong Gabuya, the station manager. Good afternoon, Tiffany.
Hello. Hi, Noel.
Tiffany, when you first learned about your being recognized as one of the Sudi awardees, what was your reaction? Because you didn't know that you were like nominated or being deliberated on.
No, it was the biggest surprise, especially because as I told Isabel when I responded to her, I said we're very used to featuring awardees of all sorts, and we're not used at all to receiving an award ourselves. So I suppose, I think because I'm asthmatic, I think I ran for my inhaler, and and since we're like working remotely, so I messaged my team, and everybody was like virtually jumping up and down. It was like the strangest, yeah. It was pretty surreal, to be honest. Actually, it still is. I'm asking myself whether I should be in this Zoom conversation with so many other luminaries. It doesn't seem real to me. I think I'll wake up in a 30 seconds or so.
Ang galing. So Isabel, looking at the dossier, ano yung main point naman ng jury when they decided to give the award to DCFE?
I would say it was a lot of the jury members really religiously listened to DCFE back in time pa in the uh, through the years. So being able to air classical music interstation, and I think they're one of the few stations, or if only the few stations, who really religiously airs classical music along with compatible genres and with their biblical commentary and other programs. So
Galing, no?
so
Mr. C,
it
what
it
was
was
the
such an
impact?
achievement for them.
Galing, galing. Mr. C, what was the impact of DCFE on you before? Or hanggang ngayon, actually, you said.
You're right. Well, actually, hanggang ngayon. Because as I was telling, I was telling Tiffany, sabi ko, I listen to DZFE when I'm inside the car, and it is the only radio station that calms my nerves in traffic. That's the only one. If there are other people in the car and they like to listen to popular music, etc., they listen to it. But once we run into one, if I'm the one driving, I'm sorry, I'm driving. My station is DZFE, and true, you know, I have my advice is truly classical music has it calms your nerves, and
Yeah.
I will tell you not only aesthetically
Mhm.
but scientifically in terms of sound. I will tell you why concert music, especially concert music or
Mhm.
concert music that is recorded in very nice acoustics, it is very calming compared to
Yeah.
popular music or rock music or any other type of genre music na recorded.
Ah,
Why? Because I will tell you, when symphony music or classical music is recorded, it needs a place. There is a huge uh, place wherein the sound is captured, and you hear it in the recording. And
mhm.
when DZFE plays it, you hear that you are in a big place. You are not in a small recording studio where most of popular music is recorded, which is why when a singer in popular music records, it's very near the microphone. So
Yeah.
which means that the effect, even the instrumentation, even the piano, the keyboard, and everything else that is recorded in popular music is close mic.
Mhm.
Um, and, unless they have their violins and their brass or flute sections. But classical music is recorded na yung mikropono niya ay malayo dun
Tayo,
sa
yeah.
source. So which means that the psychological effect of that when somebody listens is you are transported in a
Mm.
wider place. You can
Parang nasa
hear that
langit.
it's in a wider place. That is the science for me. That's how I view listening to classical music, which is why it calms my nerves. Is because yun na nga, you are transported to a bigger place, and it's
Correct.
not a cramped place.
Yeah.
Inside the car, you are already cramped and you are in traffic. But when you listen to classical music, it's a hall. It's a big
True.
theater. And you hear it even if you don't watch it. If you don't see the recording or the musicians playing, you hear that air. You hear that sound.
Ang galing. Tiffany, so you've worked with your company for a long time already, and did you see that
Since
value?
1998, yeah.
Yeah, did you see that value in the company? Parang yun, has it been that consistent in like in coming up with a programming that will like relax, soothe, calm people?
Well, I've been with the DZFE now for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I can certainly say that the influence of DZFE extends well beyond that. So even though I can't speak for myself personally, I know that DZFE has really had a tremendous impact. And I really like what Mr. C said, because it's not just one type of classical music. Classical music runs the gamut. We have Baroque music and classical music, Renaissance music, but I also want to put in a word for new music and new compositions, which may not necessarily be calming, but it takes place as well in that acoustic space.
Galing.
And that's one of the reasons why you can interact with it, and also, you don't jump through the roof necessarily when you listen to new music, and that's good because that's one of the reasons we're here, is also to play new music by our composers, and that's one of the things that we're really pushing, even though it may not sound like a Mozart or anything, or Call Me or anything. We really want to represent a whole spectrum of music. So that's one of the things actually that DCFE has been active in. I remember speaking to our first station manager. She's 70 plus now, but she said that when DCFE started out, one of their great joys, was airing Filipino music that had been newly written. And this was in the middle of the 20th century, when we had, an explosion of orchestral, symphonic music, all sorts of music being written. So DCFE was part of that. And I'm glad to say that, just the fact that we've stuck around means that we've had ringside seats on the musical developments in Philippine music for the last almost 70 years. So when I started working at DZFE, I wasn't quite aware of it, but the longer you stay in DZFE, the more you appreciate the kind of impact that it's had.
Ang galing na, Tiffany, because you're being awarded now for that period.
I know.
2000 to 2009, di ba? So, what was a major accomplishment of DZFE or major movement during that time?
I'll be absolutely honest. I was a little bit perplexed when I saw the decade, because the 2000 to 2009 period was actually one of the decades when we had a very difficult time staying afloat, because
Ganyan naman yan, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Diba? When you surmount yung difficulties, doon kayo nagiging creative eh.
Yeah, that's true. But that was also the time when we were off the air for about 40% of the day, because we really needed to conserve our resources. So some of you may recall the time when we were signing on, signing off, signing on, signing off. So we had like the Philippine national anthem on multiple times in a day. But the great thing about it is, things took a downturn in about 2002, 2003, and this was a direct effect of 9/11 and some of our funding drying up. But by the end of the decade, 2010, we had more or less recovered. So it was a big uphill slug, but we got out of it, and with our format intact. And that's one of the things I'm proudest of, is that we survived with a format intact, which is not something that can be said of a lot of radio stations, as that we've stuck to our format for all this time.
At yun, no, you shorter air time, but when you were there on air, it was consistently good. Yun lang, parang
hopefully
parang the resources were really scarce, but then yun dun, your triumph against yun, the limited resources. Well, I'll bring in someone who has listened to you, next awardee, Joey Ayala. Joey Ayala, bago ka namin pag-usapan, Tanglaw ng Lahi awardee, at mahaba yung pangalan talaga, yung totoong pangalan niya, Jose Inigo Homer Lacambra Ayala. Magandang hapon, Joey. Kanina, before we started, Joey was talking about DZFE. Joey, what was your experience with them?
I associate DZFE with Sunday morning. Driving to the grandfather in my uncle's car. At saka pag nasa bahay, naka-on lang yung radyo. First memory is that the off-key opera singer. Mrs. Jenkins. I found her on YouTube. The most inept opera singer. And I also remember, because of that, I remember hearing the parodies of Silvia La Torre.
Galing.
Soprano, na over-singing soprano.
Yes.
I remember hearing a lot of Broadway musicals. So Love and Marriage. King and I remember hearing a lot of Gershwin. A lot of the romantic classicals, Rachmaninoff. And I associate that vibe with a Sunday vibe. No classes.
And what was the impact on you, Joey? Ano yung impact ng DZFE sa'yo?
But definitely a source of good music. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's all kids need, exposure to good stuff, regardless of nationality. It doesn't have to be Filipino. No. Good stuff creates new connections in the neural structure. Every time you learn a new song, you're creating new connections in the brain. Sinabi ni Mr. C at saka si Ma'am Chit, mas matalino talaga pag gumagana ang musical brain mo because you keep on connecting neurons.
Correct.
And you learn a new pattern in your fingers, you learn a new melody, you listen to a piece for the first time, you're actually reshaping your brain. So it has an actual physical effect. And I notice a lot of people who work with music have a hard time aging.
Kita mo naman yung mga tao dito, di ba?
Masaya, madaling ngumiti, di ba? Have a hard time aging. They really have to try.
It's the disposition really Well,
yeah. It changes your body chemistry. It changes everything. It's really
of course, Joey Ayala is the composer of the theme song of a teleserye now. Yun, walang hanggang paalam. So talagang hanggang ngayon, buhay na buhay pa rin. And during the lockdown, ang ganda, no? You've been so prolific and you were able to write good music, Joey.
It's like awards. Things were done in the mid-80s and they're getting recognized today.
That's true. True.
Like DZFE, its foundational work happened in the 50s and 60s and now it's getting recognized. The songs I'm known for today are the songs I wrote when I had less problems. when I had no arthritis, that's when I wrote those songs.
That's a nice thing. Mr. C, you have to listen to this. One of the awardees kasi is Gary Granada, and he's trying to locate him, no? Parang one of Mr. C's stories ay yung nakita niya sa isang art gallery dun sa may bahay ng alumni ng UP, yung award niyang Orlina na nandun, parang for sale. At yun yung para kay Gary Granada nung nanalo siya sa Metropop. Mr. C, kailangan mong marinig yung kwento ni Joey Ayala. Joey, say it now.
Meron din kasi akong Orlina dito sa aking trophy table. Orlina yan ni Louie Ocampo at saka ako nung last Metropop.
Yung last Metropop na si Martin Rivera, happy birthday, yung pag-uwi.
Uy, birthday ni Martin yun. Yung pag-uwi na kanta. Akin yung letra. They belong to the other network. So they had to donate their prize money to the foundation of
ABS-CBN.
Yeah, because I think that's where they belonged at that time.
Yes.
And I asked them, hindi nyo ba pwede sa akin na lang i-donate? Hindi daw pwede. Sabi ko, ako na lang muna magkustodya ng Orlina. So I have the Orlina. It's actually shared. But I'm keeping it.
Daw niya magkano raw yung value ng Orlina, but for Gary Granada, like every one of you sa music, no, walang value talaga yun. Parang yung value ng trophy, parang pwede mong i-let go, pero yung honor na yun parang beyond nung sa trophy mismo, di ba, Sir Joey?
Ano naman siya it's trophies are like kidney stones, no? They are a crystallization of a long process.
Ang ganda.
You can pass them, you can keep them. It's up to you.
Ang ganda. And then one thing I learned habang nag-uusap kami, parang yung mga songs pala ni Sir Joey, iba't iba yung publisher, no? What was the wisdom behind that?
What I found out early, I was not yet famous. Not yet an awardee. I read somewhere that if you don't think anyone else is going to sing your songs, don't give them to a publisher. Be the publisher. And at that time, I really had no inkling that other people would actually even listen to my songs. So I never gave up any publishing rights. So ngayon, case to case, if I feel the need for the intermediary, I ask someone to act as publisher just for that instance.
Mr. C, I'll ask you lang, impact of Joey Ayala sa Philippine music? Ay, nakamute lang, Mr. C.
Buti na lang, nakamute.
No, Joey Ayala kasi syempre, aside from the music that he has done, nung dumating siya sa industriya ng late 80s, isa siya sa mga pasimuno ng yung tinatawag na world music. Pero syempre, nung time na yon, tinatawag natin siyang Filipino ethnic music. Pero eventually, tinawag siya na world music. Pero hindi ako naniniwala na nilalagay sa isang box ang likha ng isang tao dahil yun ang genre niya, dahil yun ang gawa niya. Pero si Joey Ayala kasi hanggang ngayon, kung makikita mo siya at maririnig mo, kapag ka nagsasalita, hindi lang about his music, his deep philosophy in life at nailalagay niya yan sa kanyang mga awit. Kaya yung mga awit niya, gano'n din ang tunog dahil merong kakaibang pinanggagalingan. So, masasabi ko na iba rin yung nilakihan kasi ni Joey, which is very, very important. Saan siya lumaki? Ba't gano'n siya mag-isip? Di ba, Joey? Iba talaga eh. Iba yung hangin, iba yung kinain mo nung nasa Mindanao ka. Di ba?
Influence ng parents, pareho silang Makata, parehong manunulat.
Yun pa.
It's like an influence without an influence. Because I asked my parents, why am I like this? And they said, we didn't force you to do anything. We just allowed you to touch the materials. So the typewriter was on the floor. The old guitar was in the corner. There was no off limits. You could do, you could type, you could write, you could play the guitar. Parang Montessori style.
Idamay na rin natin yung fellow awardee mo, si Dr. Grace Joey, na palagi kinukulong nga doon nga sa world music. Do you mind that? Pag sinabi na yun yung label ng music?
Labels are primarily for the convenience of marketers. So
Right.
it's not a bad thing. It helps to move the merchandise.
Okay.
But if you're an artist, you just don't believe in it.
Yeah.
It's actually the artist's responsibility not to believe in that. Don't let it stifle you, because once you believe in it, you curtail your own freedom. You curtail your own explorations. So it's primarily a marketing device, which is important. It plays a role.
Galing. Joey, of course, your icons here now and your celebrated awardees. Pero ikaw mismo, sino yung tinitingala mong mga musicians that influenced you also?
Influenced me.
Yes.
I think the majority of influence was during my younger days. So the record collection, the small record collection of my parents, very influential. They had one record containing folk songs from all over the world. It was a Smithsonian Institute label, Electra. It had an African folk song, which I can still sing. I don't know what it means, but I can sing it. It had some old black man blues. Ang dami. Ravi Shankar record of my father, one. Japanese music, koto, one. And then in the radio programming in the 60s was album-oriented. They didn't play just the hits. They played everything in an album. Occasionally, there'd be a festival, like a Little Richard festival, where 24 hours, puro Little Richard yan. So you get to listen to the depth of an artist. Not just the hit, but the depth. You'd hear Beatles albums, 24 hours, one station. Beatles albums, White Album, even the obscure cuts, you'd be able to hear them. And of course, FE was there playing classical music. And then the cartoons at the time, the music scoring was very complex. They were using Paderewski, they were using Beethoven, they were using all sorts of, like if you can hum the Popeye theme. 4-year-olds, 3-year-olds knew that melody line. So you can imagine what that's doing to the neural connections. It's really, I think, a much richer aural landscape when I was growing up. Today, it's beat-oriented. That's why you have the resurgence of the spoken word rhythm and the hypnotic motif that keeps on recurring. No? It's actually going back to some sort of tribal, only in an electronic form. So nandun yung linking to the body rhythms, tuloy-tuloy lang. Malalaman mo yun technically, you can tell when a recording was made You try to copy-paste portion from the beginning and superimpose it on the end. Because the earlier recordings, they don't match.
That's
The
true.
song starts out slow, it ends up fast. Because
Kakaiba.
that's, di ba? Because that's the natural rhythm of musicians. They warm up during the song, get
Yes,
faster.
yes.
But the modern compositions, you copy-paste a bar from the beginning, put it on the end, exactly the same tempo.
Galing. Ang
Because
mga
it's,
hit niya talaga.
yeah, it's machine composition. It's the metronome all the way. The metronome is used all the way.
Yeah. Sir, ano pa yung bisa ng mga awards sa'yo? You're award winning already. You have your Orlina that you're looking for that value. Pero sir, well, when you're given such an award like this, ano po yung impact sa inyo?
The first time I told my mom about a major award, I think it was the TOIM in the 80s. Mom, they're giving me a TOIM. And my
Yes.
mom looked at me and said, what did you expect?
Galing. Galing. Mr. C is also a Time Awardee and ang magandang news niya, next week we're having the Time Awardees led by Mayor Vico Soto. Di ba? Parang bihira na ngayon at medyo mataray sila sa Time ngayon. 10 outstanding young men. Pero 7 lang yung inawardan nila kasi raw hindi lahat nakaabot dun sa standard ng Time. So,
Baka
kakaiba, no? Pero
baka
sir,
dinedebate nila yung LGBT kung isali.
hindi. Joke naman yun. Pero sir, yun, ano pa yung impact ng mga awards sa inyo? Meron pa ba? Ano pa?
Madaming impact eh. The early awards talagang exhilarating. Saka ego. Wow, ang galing ko. After that, nagiging pressure.
That's
Para,
true.
people are expecting, I better live up to this award.
Yeah.
And then in a sense, it became restrictive also because I have to be decent in public. They might take it back. So it depends. It depends actually what my mood is.
Pero ito ngayon parang Lifetime Achievement Award na to bala ng music eh.
Yeah, parang nagulat ako na may award. Hindi
good.
ako nagulat na binigyan ako ng award.
Okay.
Ang surprise para sa akin is the third award during the lockdown.
Okay.
That was given to me from government sources.
Okay.
So I'm starting to think now, nauubusan na yata ng awardee ang gobyerno. Bakit ako nanood?
Sir, mas gusto niyo bang award or ayuda, sir?
Actually, ang aking gut is I hope there's a scene in the award ceremony where they bring out this huge check. It hasn't happened yet,
Sir, vaccine na lang daw. Anyway, thank you. Babalikan namin kay mamaya, Sir Joey Ayala. We're going to the next awardee, represented today by Miss Alma. Miss Alma from the Lobok Children's Choir, ma'am. Magandang hapon po. You can show yourself already sa Zoom. Oy. Hello, ma'am. Ma'am Alma from the Lobok Children's Choir. Hello po. Alma Taldo. Hello. Okay, habang hinihintay natin siya, nandito rin po yung sa first batch, kakaiba rin yung story nito kasi nag-patronize din ako ng kanilang leche flan kasi yun yung pagpipot nila sa pandemic. Si Sir Ed Panggiyat ng UP Singing Ambassador. Sir Ed, magandang hapon po at congratulations.
Good. Commute.
Nakamute po kayo. Ayan. Sir Ed, magandang hapon sa UP Singing Ambassadors. At sa inyo po, kumusta po kayo? Oh. Nako sir, paano ba to? Justin, pakaayos yung sound system. Ayan, mas malakas pa siguro sir yung yung sa microphone ninyo. Kumusta po? Ay. Walang lumalabas sir. Yung sa set. Si Sir Joey Ayala talaga komedyante. Well, their way of pivoting, they've traveled abroad and won awards for us, for the country actually. Tapos nun, yun biglang nagka-lockdown. Walang mga concerts, walang mga performances. Sir Ed, so you can unmute now. Ayan po. Good afternoon po. Wala po eh. Walang lumalabas.
A very unmuting experience.
Opo eh. Ayan. Habang hinihintay rin natin si Ma'am Alma from the Lobok Children's Choir sa Bohol. Ayan. Well, siguro habang hinihintay natin yan, Sir Joey, gusto nating parinig sa kanila yung composition mo during the, hindi, parang si Ma'am Chit, no, hindi tumigil sa pagka-create, no? Parang yung DCFE, patuloy pa rin yan. Mr. CC, Sir Joey nakagawa rin ng mga compositions during the lockdown at eto kakaiba yung premise ng kanyang composition, recent composition. Sir Joey, what was it about again?
Ang premise niya is kung si Yoyoy Villa may Atenista. Tapos naka-lockdown.
Okay.
Yun yung aking pinanggalingan. So yung chorus niya, oh, what a nice surprise. Instant noodles. Uy, what's that? We're so lucky they're sardines. It's the food for kings and queens in this time of quarantine. Eksena niya, yung nag-distribute ng
Ang galing, no? Our creativity overflows pag ganyan, no? Time ng pandemic, during these challenging times. At habang hinihintay natin si Sir Ed, nandito na po si Miss Alma. Miss Alma ng Lobok Children's Choir. Miss Alma Taldo, good afternoon po. Paki-unmute lang po from Bohol. Kumusta po kayo dyan? Hello,
unmute.
Pa-unmute lang po, ma'am. The word of our... Ayan po. Good afternoon po. Ma'am Alma.
Sir.
Yay! Okay.
Hello.
Good afternoon po. Kumusta ho kayo dyan sa Bohol?
Okay naman kami, sir. And healthy always.
Very good, ma'am. So when you finally got that message or that the correspondence that you're one of the awardees during that first batch, the first batch of the National Awards, ano po yung reaction ninyo, Ma'am Alma?
Nagulat ako, hindi ako naniwala kasi hindi naman sa akin naka-address ang email.
Okay.
Sa anak ko naka-address. Pagkatapos sabi niya, "Ma, alam mo ba may award kayo?" Anong award? Parang ganun. So sinabi sa anak ko na basahin mo yung email. Doon ko na lang, pero hindi ko naintindihan ano ba 'to. Wala akong alam tungkol doon. Walang nagsasabi sa akin. So, wala akong idea. Hanggang may nagsabi kita ko sa board juror si Sir Gardy. So sinabi, "Sir, alam mo yun?" Tawa siya ng tawa. Bakit? Pero tapos hindi naman ako sinabihan ni Sir. So, hindi na lang ako nagpili sa kanya. Yun. So, si Miss Isabel nag-communicate sa akin. Yun na. Totoo pala to. So, I'm very happy. Kasi hindi ko naman hindi namin expected na mayroong ganon na award.
Sabi nga po, yung maganda doon sa award, hindi na kailangan patunayan pa ng mga awardees yung worth nila kasi yung iba, pin-interview pa po, yan, kitang-kita na po yung accomplishments ng Lobok Children's Choir. Update lang po, kumusta na po yung mga bata ngayon? Kumusta po sila ngayong pandemya? Oh, nawala. Mr. C, what was the main contention why the Lobok Children's Choir was awarded?
We know that Lobok Children's Choir is not only known here in the Philippines, kilala din siya as a premier children's choir sa ibang bansa. So, as a matter of fact, ang Lobok Children's Choir ay lalo na po lalo pa silang naging kilala nung natatandaan mo nagkaroon ng malaking earthquake.
Yes.
At kailangan nila ng tulong dahil imagine yung kanilang simbahan na pinaglilingkuran ng pagkakumakanta sila ay nasira, no, yung simbahan na yon. So, Lobok kailangan tandaan din natin na marami kasi ring musical gems na nakikita sa Bohol. So hindi lang, kaya isa yan, ang Lobok Children's Choir ay isa din dahil isa yan sa mga, I remember may treasure trove ng mga piyesa na mga sinauna na na-discover dyan sa, sa mga simbahan dyan. So, I'd like to congratulate the Lobok Children's Choir kasi tinitingala yan, grupong yan, sa kilalang-kilala natin yan sa buong Pilipinas, sa buong choral community. Alam na alam natin yan. So, walang kaduda-duda na awardee ang Lobok Children's Choir. Yan. Congratulations po, Ma'am Alma.
Ma'am Alma, pa-unmute lang po. Kumusta? Update lang po. Kumusta po yung Lobok Children's Choir ngayong pandemya? How are you surviving there in Bohol? Oh, ma'am, pa-unmute lang po. Oh, thank you. Yan po. Oh, thank you.
Palaging may virtual performance.
Good.
Mga bata, request, for example, nung a month ago, nag-request ang China ASEAN Festival na magpadala kami ng virtual performance ng mga bata. So, nag-audio at video recording kami. Nadala kami. Then, meron ding yung sa NCCA, yung Indonesia. Yung sa Indonesia. So, virtual performance pa rin.
Tuloy-tuloy pero virtual.
Yung ating virtual sir. All virtual, audio and video. Then, lately we had the Ateneo, yung sa Ateneo, yung Chinese Studies. May spring festival sila. Nag-request din sila ng mga Chinese songs from the kids. So, nag-virtual din kami, pinadala namin sa kanila. So, really a little bit busy, even if it's pandemic time. So, nagpasalamat lang kami na mayroong audio at video recorders kami.
Parang never stop creating. So, tuloy-tuloy lang po. Walang pandemyang makakapag-stop dun sa paggawa nyo ng musika. Maraming salamat po. Dumako tayo sa huling awardee natin ngayong dun sa unang dekada. Sir Ed Pagiyat ng UP Singing Ambassadors. Okay na po.
Thank you, sir.
Okay na po. Magandang hapon po, Sir Ed ng UP Singing Ambassadors.
Nadidinig na ako?
Better, sir. Ayan po. Alam ko, inikot niyo po yung buong mundo. Nanalo kayo ng awards para sa Pilipinas pero biglang natigil. Tapos ngayon, nag-pivot into making leche flans for all of us. Ngayong pandemya. Kumusta po ang UP Singing Ambassadors? And how are you coping with the pandemic?
And last year we were celebrating our 40th anniversary. And supposed to be meron kaming concert sa PICC noong August, so na-postpone yun. So what we did during this pandemic, we planned a series of events monthly featuring our past performances and some very, shall I say, some highlights of the history of the choir na parang ginawa namin siyang parang documentary. So parang every month ang aming intention talaga magpakita ng something about UPSA and its history. And then ano pa ba? The very first early part ng pandemic ng lockdown, nakagawa kami ng The Prayer which was dedicated sa ating mga frontliners. Yes. And then nakakatuwa naman umabot sa about 55,000 views. And natutuwa kami na kahit taga-ibang bansa, yung ating mga nurses, mga doctors, and mga natuwa sila that they were recognized and acknowledged. And then, of course, this December, may mga may mga offers kami mag-perform, pero talagang hindi ako makabuo ng choir kasi ayaw payagan ng mga magulang.
I see.
Tapos nitong sayang, meron kaming advertisement sana, pero umoko 7 tao. And then, nung may shooting na sa Makati, hindi na rin pinayagan. Meanwhile, I just like to talk about our past activities. And firstly, we would like to thank in behalf of the UP Singing Ambassadors, NCCA, and lahat kayo, lahat ng bumubuo, si National Artist Metro Ryan Cayabyab, si Sir Felipe De Leon, ikaw, and of course, yung ating lahat ng pamunuan ng NCCA from Sir Nick Lizazo to Director. Sa kanila pong lahat, salamat sa inyong pagkilala sa amin. And then 40 years na po kami, and natutuwa kami sabihin sa inyo na bukod sa mga paglahok sa mga competitions abroad, in the spirit of what Mom, the late National Artist for Music, Ma'am Veneracion, in the spirit of, sabi nga niya, yung choral singing na sana, ang dream niya is a singing Philippines. Ginawa po namin talaga na makarating din kami sa iba't ibang parte ng Pilipinas since 1990, since 2000, since 2010, and then recently 2007. We toured around the Philippines nung una sa Ilocos, Baguio, Quezon, Isabela, Vizcaya, believe. At talagang zigzag. Ang ginawa namin talaga is to share not only our music but to introduce more refined music, like samples of music from the Renaissance. And then we did also our very own regional songs and our Philippine pop songs. Dala-dala namin ng costume na lahat from Igorot Suite to Mindanao, Maranao, to our very own yung mga folkloric.
Diyan po naiinggit si Jojo Velasco ng Ateneo Chamber Singers kasi hindi niya magagawa yung song and dance niyo po. So, pero sir, ganito lang kasi we're wrapping up the first hour for the first 10 awardees. Sir, yun, knowing that we're still in a pandemic, gaano kahalaga yung pag-create ng musika pa rin or pagtuturo ng musika kasi kasama rin po dun sa first 10 awardees yun nga po, Professor Josefino Toledo, Chino Toledo, nag-start ng Pangkat Kawayan, si Dr. Raul Sunico na dating CCP President, at yun nga po, si Dr. Grace Nono. Sa UP Singing Ambassadors po, gaano kahalaga yung pagpapatuloy ng musika lalo na ngayong pandemya?
Napakahalaga po ng musika kasi ito po kumbaga nagbibigay sa atin ng venue to express ourselves. Kung tayo nalulungkot, nagsisiyahan, natutuwa, nagpupuri sa Diyos, and singing in the history, what's happening, putting songs, talagang dito natin na-express ang ating nasa isip at nasa damdamin natin. Meanwhile, as a group, syempre hindi nagkikita-kita, at least through modern technology, we are able to communicate and mag-link tayo sa isa't isa to support each other kasi may kanya-kanya din tayong din nagdadaanan, may nalulungkot. Pero through music, I think we can use music as an instrument to appease each other, to console each other, and ourselves, and uplift our spirits.
Galing. So, also, Ma'am Tiffany of DZFE, how do you think, DZFE will move on in creating music despite the pandemic, ma'am?
Well, one of the great things that this pandemic has produced is recordings. Because that has always been one of our biggest hindrances in featuring Filipino artists and Filipino music. It's just the discography has been dismal. But one of the things that the pandemic has caused a lot of musicians to do is to step up their game with regard to recordings. Because after all, if you don't have recordings, how will you ever get out there, right?
True.
So one of the things that we hope to do is really pick up on a lot of the things that our musicians are doing and distributing online and to share that with our audience. They are very different audiences. The Facebook and YouTube platform is a different platform for radio. Radio is still free. It's free access. People from all walks of life across the metro can have access to the broadcast. And so I really do hope that we can play more Filipino music from a lot of our artists in the months to come. And I'm taking note of all the people I can feature. I have an agenda, on this Zoom recording. See Sir Ed, for instance, with their anniversary and the things that they're doing. I think that's great. So I'm really looking forward to featuring as well on DZFE.
On
Thanks.
Monday, our committee will be meeting and will be setting the awards night or the award ceremonies. Tignan po natin kung kaya virtually, no, or kayang mag-live, mag-testimonial concert probably in a very good venue when things are safe. Ma'am, well, we'll have to get your final words. Ma'am Chit Arambulo, what is there to expect from a very, well, sobrang hardworking teacher like you now? How are you? Well, how has music like kind of healed you this time of this pandemic?
Well, music is always a source of joy, and sa lungkot ng mga pangyayari, but the music, is something else. It uplifts us, it inspires us, no? It gives balance to our lives, So may pag-asa. May pag-asa.
Ang sarap. Dahil may musika, may pag-asa. Joey Ayala, can you end this particular segment sa first batch of awardees? Can you give us some words of wisdom before we segue to the next batch of awardees? Sir Joey? Baka naglilinis na si Sir Joey. Ayan na, go.
Nahuli niyo akong kumakain ng lugaw.
So, congratulations for everything that you do to improve not only your craft, your music, but musika at lipunan. Di ba sabi mo nga kanina, there should be more points of synergy and collaboration, lalo na nga sa ating bansa.
We have to learn how to turn the nation into a symphony.
Yes.
Instead of too much dissonance. Dissonance is good, in any form of music. You need dissonance to make things interesting, but not to the point of destroying the music.
That's true.
Or destroying the piano.
That's true.
No?
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. We'll see you at the awarding. We'll tell you about what is expected. Siguro, aside from your wisdom, your speeches, sana may karoon ng konting performances sa bawat awardee. So thank you sa first batch of awardees. We're about ready to present the second batch after this break from Radyo Katipunan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Maraming salamat.
Yeah.
Sarili pagbutihin, maging isip at damdamin. Lahat sila'y ayain ng mag-level up na din. Go na go, na go, na go, na go, na go, lang go, lang ng go. Go na go, na go, na go, na go, na go, lang go, lang ng go. Level up, lumilipad. Level up, hanggang ulap.
Sobrang cheesy ba kung sasabihin ko di hamak langit ka at lupa lang ako? Sobrang corny ba kung itatanong sa'yo okay lang ba ma-inlove? O siya, sorry na kung ang imo ko di mapigilan ang damdamin kong ito. Hindi bale ng malipasan ng uso. Okay lang ba my love? Okay lang ba my love ang tulad ko? Sa tulad mo, okay lang ba magtangkang gumamit ng mga salitang pag-ibig at puso? Di mo lang alam, nasasaktan ako. Astig-astigan man, hindi ako bato. Buhay nga naman, may magagawa ba ko kung tuluyang ma-in love? Okay lang ba may love ang tulad ko sa tulad mo? Okay lang ba magtangkang gumamit ng mga katagang ikaw lang at ako? Pegs man, di ko sinasadya. Mamatay man, puso ang siyang nagpasya. Okay lang ba may love ang tulad ko sa tulad mo? Okay lang bang magtangkang gumamit ng mga salitang pag-ibig at puso? Okay lang ba may love ang tulad ko sa tulad mo? Okay lang ba magtangkang gumamit ng mga katagang ikaw lang at ako, ngayon at kailanman, hanggang walang hanggan. Okay lang ba? May love ako sa'yo.
Paulit-ulit kang nagplano. Paulit-ulit ngunit lagi din naman nababago. Wag mo na kayang palampasin, wag na wag mo na kayang palampasin, wag na wag mo na kayang patagalin. Tenanaw mo na gawin mo na lumilipad.
Okay, we're now at our second hour of Level Up with the icons, with the idols na bibigyan nating parangal dun sa Sudi, Gawad Sudi, the National Music Awards. Ito yung time, sinabi 2010 hanggang 2020. Sinama na yung 2020 kasi yun yung pandemic year, no? So, yung mga tao na kahit may pandemya, hindi napigilan na mag-create pa rin ng maganda at makabuluhang music. Mr. C, ito mahirap i-deliberate. Alam natin ito yung pangalawang decade, no? What was the process here? At yun, sabi natin, hindi nila alam na nominado sila at siguro nagkagulatan na lang when they received their confirmation na awardee sila. What was the process in the second decade?
Actually, pareho din ang proseso yan. Nag-nominate yung working team. They nominated all these names, na alam nila na malaki yung contribution sa industriya o kung saan sila, sa academia ba o sa concert hall ba o sa research ba. So all genres or at all types of basta music performer, user, etc. Ngayon, gusto ko lang sabihin sa kanila, Noel, na baka nagtataka yung iba, bakit kami sa second batch na nominate when actually marami rin kaming ginawa dun sa 20 to 2010, no? I'm talking about, let's say, the groups or like the Madrigal Singers because I'm very sure you're asking, ba't kami dito sa group na to napasama? As a matter of fact, meron sa inyo na mga nominees na nominated sa
Decades.
both decades, no? So you can imagine, nahati pa yung iba yung mga, yung nahati pa yung mga boto ng jurors sa inyo. Kasi, for example, for a group like Philippine Madrigal Singers or Ateneo, meron kayo mga 3 votes dito, tapos biglang 10 votes doon sa kabila. Sayang, can you imagine, dapat pala isang ganun lang. So, marami pa tayong Noel, as a matter of fact, ngayon ko lang isinisiwalat na marami pa kaming kailangan gawing refinements. Kailangan pa namin ng konting refinements pa para, ang dami namin natutunan, as a matter of fact, no, Noel, ang dami namin natutunan sa pagkita namin doon sa proseso. Dahil pagdating doon sa jury, ang dami nilang tanong, bakit ganito, ba't ganyan, o bakit hindi kasama si ganito, ganyan. Ang galing. Ang dami namin natutunan. So, I think it will be a little more strict.
Yes.
Pagdating ng sa mga susunod na mga panahon.
We're talking about decade awards, no? But we're thinking of one awardee for the year. Parang ganun. Regardless, walang category. Kung sino yung pinakamalakas yung impact do sa musika, yun yung itatanghal natin bawat taon. From after nitong mabigyan kayo ng award. So parang 2021, titingnan natin kung sino yung pinakamalakas yung impact. Let it be it an educator, be it a music creator, a singer, a performer, etc. So, ibang-iba. Pero, daanan natin, Mr. C, yung mga awardees natin dito sa dekadang to. Unang-una, Ateneo Chamber Singers, Mr. C. What is the major argument for their inclusion in this batch?
Actually, alam mo, hindi na kailangan sabihin talaga yung yung mga arguments for the awardees kasi each one of them they really have their contribution. Again, sasabihin ko, like the Philippine Madrigal Singers, the UP Singing Ambassadors, ang Ateneo Chamber Singers ay pumupunta sa ibang bansa at nagwawagi sila sa mga competition. Now, meron akong gustong sabihin na napakalaking contribution talaga ng Philippine choral groups, no, organizations, yung mga choirs ng Pilipinas. Of all media na pwede magdala ng Filipino music, na original Filipino music, ang choirs lang ang nagdadala talaga ng actively nagdadala ng mga bagong gawang Filipino works or even yung mga classic Filipino works. Yung Filipino choirs lang ang gumagawa niyan. Wala tayong naririnig ng mga main kaya pag sinasabing, bakit may K-pop, ba't lang P-pop? Sa totoo lang, sasabihin ko sa inyo, yung choral groups ang nagdadala ng Filipino music sa buong mundo.
Galing. So, let's hear it from the MADS and the Ateneo Chamber Singers. Sir Mark Anthony Carpio, the choir master of the MADS, what was your reaction when you first got that correspondence telling you na, okay, you're part of the awardees?
So, first of all, marami pong salamat. Mr. C, thank you very much. And I think I posted already. I posted already and then thanking lahat po nung bumuo nung board. And thank you, Mr. Noel, for this recognition. Of course, we were also happy because it's surprise kasi biglang, saan nang galing? Kaya tuwang-tuwa kaming lahat talaga. So that was a busy day when it was posted. Ang dami kaming ginagawa. Tapos ako nalaman ko lang towards the latter part of the day. Ang dami ko nakita sa social media. Kaya na-excite din ako mag-post agad, mag-share. And yun, we were just very happy. Marami pong salamat.
May isa dito na iyak. Jojo, what was the impact on the Ateneo Chamber Singers?
Nga. Ako, nga. Talaga, ano to? Ganun talaga. Tapos, hindi ko alam kung sinong ite-text ko, sinong unahin ko, yung manager o yung mga members, yung ano siya, total bedlam at the beginning. Kasi talagang it came out of the blue, talagang from left field, talagang wala. So, we were naiyak ako. Ayun.
Pero well, yun nga, it was a struggling year also for you sa Ateneo Chamber Singers kasi parang hindi walang mga concerts, mahirap. And the last thing that you did, I think, publicly, aside from yung mga Christmas was yung doing Obayan Ko with the ABS-CBN Orchestra.
Yes, yeah, we did that. Pero actually, the whole year, pandemic or no, we were very, very active with lots of virtual choir projects through the months. Ang dami. Kasi nag-meeting kami kagabi, sa totoo lang, Noel. And in-enumerate yung mga ginawa namin for the entire year. Hala, buwan-buwan meron pala kaming ginawa. With someone, with collaboration, with ganito.
At hindi madali, lalo na pag grupo yung kasama mo, di ba?
Hindi madali at all. Kung alam lang nila, for every virtual choir na makita ninyo sa Facebook, sus Maria Josep, isang buong buwan yan para lang maano. Kasi each member has to record individually sa bahay nila ng alauna ng madaling araw kasi doon walang aso, walang videoke, walang lahat yon. Tapos isasubmit nila, tapos imi-mix, tapos it's really grabe. It's a gargantuan project. So, can you imagine?
But long overdue kasi for the choirs, you're given awards abroad. But then locally, di ba walang masyadong nag-recognize sa mga choirs. Kaya tama nga si Mr. C, parang napapahalagahan through the National Music Awards and NCCA yung mga choral groups. Is there a member of Acapella-Go in the Zoom?
Wow.
There, buti ka lang, Joshua. Thank you. Yun.
Hello po.
Maraming salamat. Mr. C, yeah, you're about to say something.
No, I was saying 5 of them are here, the complete a cappella. Before we go to the a cappella go, Noel, alam mo lahat yan, yung sa MADS, yung sa Ateneo, yung sa UP Singing Ambassadors. I can also I have to also mention the UST Singers and the many other choirs. Lahat sila ang galing lang sa fountainhead yan ng national artist kay Andrea Veneracion. So you can imagine yung birth ng yung impact ng ginawa ni Ma'am OA. So sa lahat ng sa Philippine choral industry, I can't say industry, sa movement ng Philippine choral movement, ang laki na impact niyan. So gusto ko rin sabihin na ang impact niyan napunta din sa popular music, which is why we also have that a cappella go. Galing din sila dyan. I mean, hindi sila nang galing kung saan lang. But kung galing din sa mga training ng Philippine Madrigal Singers, galing din yan sa school namin, doon sa a cappella open, lahat siya talagang pinanggalingan kay Ma'am OA. Yun, kaya talagang kailangan din pasalamatan si Ma'am.
Ang galing. To the members of a cappella go naman dito, it was a struggling year too, no? Less gigs, so walang mga performances.
Yes.
How did you get by?
Well, hello po, Sir Noel. Ako po si Bogart.
Yes.
Percussion.
Bogart, yeah.
Well, it all started nung first quarter pa lang ng taon actually. First ever European tour namin siya. And then, dun sa last na bansa na napuntahan namin, which is yung Austria, sa Markeg, biglang nag-hit yung pandemic.
Wow.
Supposedly, Italy yung last na country na pupuntahan namin na mas apektado ng bahagya para sa lahat. Doon kami, Sir Noel, naiwan eh. Parang doon namin naranasan yung homesick, yung nakakaiyak, ang tindi. Doon, nakakalungkot yung mga pangyayari. Pero ginawa namin yan para magpalakasan sa isa't isa ng loob, syempre ng musika na rin namin. Ginamit namin yung oras at panahon na namamahinga kami para gumawa ng isang concert, which is Bayanihan Musikahan. Nakasama kami dyan. That's during the time na nandun kami. Nandun pa kami. At naisip din ni Mr. C, all thanks to Mr. C, at nakasama kami doon dahil naisip niya, kawawa naman yung mga bata, naiwan doon, magkakasama. might as well isama natin sila, di ba? Kasi we all have our resources there during that time. So yeah.
So hindi Dolomite, 'di ba? Yung sagot sa mental health kung hindi kanta, 'di ba? Yun eh. So, yun. Oh, so that is one of the coping mechanisms ng mga artists na kailangan yun. You have to continue to create, di ba? And then, well, one of the awardees also, Mr. C, what was the deliberations here? The discussion really went grabe yung discussion kay Gerard Salonga bilang, well, isang tao na parang ang bata-bata pero grabe yung accomplishments sa kanyang kabataan. Pero well, it's also significant for Gerard kasi we lost the ABS-CBN Orchestra during this year, no? During that particular year. Yes, Mr. C.
And Gerard is being cited for being a Filipino conductor who is working as a classical conductor in orchestras, not only in the country, but in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Malaysia right now, and has also worked with the Australian Symphony Orchestra, and has recorded a full CD with Cecilica using a European orchestra. So you can imagine, very significant kasi wala tayong ibang kilala na umabot na sa ganyang level. So congratulations, Gerard.
Yes, Gerard, when you learned about the awards, how did you react to it?
First of all, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir Noel, I'll call you Sir Noel because 30 years ago was when I met you, when you were a faculty member in the English department of Ateneo, and I was a freshman. I'll call you Sir Noel.
I know. And I wrote his recommendation to Berkeley.
Good afternoon, everyone, and congratulations to everybody here. I had no idea this was happening. Mr. C, we were messaging each other in January, and he said, "Oh, by the way, what's your mailing address?" And of course, I didn't think to ask.
Why
are you asking me for my? Kala ko padadala niya ako ng Chinese New Year envelope or something. I don't know. And then didn't even think about it. And the next thing I know, I get this letter, I get this email about this. I'm like, huh? What's going on? You know, because I never considered myself on the radar for something like this. You know, I think a lot of us were feeling this similar feelings when our letters came in.
Yeah.
Because in Manila, like I was telling Mr. C a few days ago, you know, perception is a very weird thing. In Manila, you and I had a conversation about this in the early 2000s about how people perceive you because of the thing that you do, right? And in Manila, I'm known as a guy who's written popular arrangements or been musical director for people like Martin, Regine, you know, or Leia, which is very much a popular form of music still, you know. But what's weird is here in Kuala Lumpur at the Malaysian Philharmonic Orchestra, many of them have no idea that I'm a popular arranger, because the first thing I ever did here with them was Brahms and Beethoven. To them, I'm a proper conductor. You know, when they find out I was doing popular music, what? You were doing is that where you came from? You didn't come from an instrument. You came from, you know, because the path that I took was anything but conventional to what I'm doing now. And I don't know. It's like I actually heard this in a John Williams interview. Someone asked him if he ever became blasé about having received 5 Oscars, and he goes, "No, I don't. It's a basic human thing that." No one ever gets tired of being appreciated.
Yeah, it's true.
And they give you a pat on the back or doff of the hat, and you know, it spurs you on to try even harder. And it actually it's a great signal to yourself that okay, I'm not paranoid. I'm actually doing something right. Because for every artist there comes these times where, what the hell am I doing? And am I even decent at this at all? I've many times in my life I've been held back by what we call this hack syndrome. You know, where you wonder if you're the real thing or not, and you just keep trying. You just keep trying.
Gerard, it's coming at a very special time, very challenging times, no? Parang ang daming nangyari sa'yo rin, no? Parang you're based there, but we lost the ABS-CBN Orchestra. Parang, how do you make sense of all these?
Well, I've been trying to answer that question for the last 6 months. There's no real answer except, voila, as musicians, we just have to keep on making music.
That's true.
We're in a very privileged. It's a privilege to be a musician. First of all, it's not a right. It's a privilege to be in a position to share profound messages that are in music, whether it's popular music, jazz, or symphony. It doesn't matter. And these messages range from the intimately personal to the political.
Yes.
And it is our duty as musicians to convey these messages as well as we can. That's why we spend all these hours slaving away in the practice room, so we can develop the fluency to be able to deliver these messages. I'm just grateful to have be put in an opportunity to put the place where I have an opportunity to still be a musician. I mean, after ABS closed down last January, I started a new position in Manila. I'm now music director of the Orchestra of the Filipino Youth. It's a program that is inspired by the Venezuelan El Sistema, which is just every bit as much a social initiative as it is an arts initiative. It's really building a better citizenry through classical music.
And Gerard, no, it's less and less about you and more about the community, no? And you're doing something for that community.
If you're a musician who is worth his or her salt, it was never about you to begin with.
That's true. That's true.
It goes out there. It's all about the message. It's all about the composition and what it can do, what the way it can change people's lives, because music is life changing.
Galing. Ang maganda pa sa mga awards na tulad ganito, naglalabasan yung mga totoong pangalan. Kaya Mr. C, kailangan mong explain. Yun, si Vincent Ferdinand Dancel, na kilala bilang Ebe, yung impact niya dun sa dekadang pinagdiskusyonan.
Si Ebe, ang dami-dami niyang awitin na naging talagang super, very, very popular. At also because of his talent, Ebe has a very distinct vocal range and vocal style na talagang mahihiwalay mo siya doon sa lahat ng mga umusbong na galing sa Philippine rock scene and Philippine independent music, indie music scene. So, which is why Ebe shines. Now, hindi ko alam kung saan nanggaling yung Ebe. Anyway, Ebe.
Now, Ebe, you can react.
First of all, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. It's so good to see everyone again. Namiss ko kayo lahat.
Kindred spirits, no?
Para ko nasa Elements ulit. So, Mr. C, Sir Noel, I'm very grateful. Ebe is actually ang nickname ko nung pinanganak ako ay Baby. And then my brother couldn't pronounce it, and then they made it Bebe. He still couldn't pronounce it. So sabi ng parents ko, you know what? Let's just wait for what that kid says. And then my brother said, Ebe.
Ayun na yun.
Yeah. So there you go.
But Ebe, this decade was really significant and it wasn't easy for you, no? Grabe rin yung pinagdaanan mo ditong yung nakaraang dekada where you're being awarded. Pero eto ka, nagtumutuloy sa paggawa, paglikha ng musika. At saka we can say na rin, no? Nag-pivot din si Ebe into trying to mentor new talents. So Ebe, talk about it.
Tulad po ng sinabi ninyo, this decade was very challenging for me because the decade before I was part of a moderately successful band. And then
Napaka-modest naman ng moderately successful. Okay.
and then I left, and then I went on my own. So those were the really challenging years for me because I felt like I had to prove myself all over again to people because I lost everything after that. So this feels
sakit naman ng everything. Ang sakit naman ng
nawala lahat, sir. Nawala yung shows, and then we stopped communicating with the fans, and parang I felt like I was starting all over again. And kaya nga I think this award is very special to me and my family because, like I said, very challenging time for me, and I couldn't believe it. I had to read the letter thrice, and then when I messaged Mr. C to say thank you, and he said something like, "You deserve to be here." Doon na po ako naiyak. Nasa kusina pa yata, nagluluto pa yata ako nun. So, but now it's trying to, these days, aside from making music, I'm also scouting for new talent, see how I can help them, develop them. Yung mga tinuturo po nila Mr. C, nila Jonathan Manalo sa akin, dati sinusubukan kong ipasa sa susunod ng generation of musicians. So, I would say challenging but exciting times.
Ang galing. Oh well, nabanggit mo na yung susunod na awardee, Mr. C. We talk about Jonathan Manalo in the roster of composers. Nakita ko yung post ni Jonathan, pigil na pigil pa nung una yung thank you muna siya sa Diyos kasi ang dami ring pinagdaanan niya sa ABS-CBN during the year. Pero yun nga, maraming mga blessings din. Mr. C, what was the main contention for Jonathan aside from his hits? More than his hits, marami pang service, di ba, na pinag-usapan. You're muted naman, Mr. C. Go.
Yeah. Oo nga. More than the hits that Jonathan has made, Jonathan has actually liaised for so many songwriters. And ginawa niyang hit yung mga kanta ng halos lahat ng mga songwriters na gagamit niya na produce niya. So, in a way, itong service to the community of songwriters, malaking bagay yan. So, Jonathan being so young and so, ang sipag niya. Ang sipag niya mag-promote ng Filipino music. Ito yung reason kung bakit na single out siya. At saka hindi ko lang masabi kung gaano kalaking sakit ng ulo yung trabaho niya sa ABS bilang isang nasa gitna na ng uumpugang artista at mga syempre yung namumuno na kumpanya. Yan, congrats Jonathan.
Jonathan, your reaction now. Ngayon pwede mo nang gusto mong sabihin.
Hanggang ngayon sobra pa rin akong nasa cloud nine. I don't know how to react. I'm just so honored, very grateful ako sa binigay na to na parangal ng NCCA. Of course, salamat again, Sir Noel, thank you. Mr. C, maraming salamat talaga sa pagkilala sa mga sa ginagawa ko. Kumbaga hindi ko naman alam na magkakaroon ng ganitong recognition sa ginagawa ko sa community natin na sa pagtulong sa mga songwriters, sa mga young artists na mahone yung kanilang craft, at the same time developing mine also, and at the same time making sure that their rights are protected, making sure na naaalagaan kung ano yung creations nila. So ayun po. Jonathan, I don't know what to say. Maraming salamat.
Jonathan, it was really a challenging year also for you. Yun nga, sa nangyari sa ABS. Anong adjustments ngayon in terms of music production dahil sa pagkawala ng franchise?
Actually ngayon, yung production mas naging lalo na kapag ang career mo, singer ka, writer, hindi na excuse yun, wala kang simpleng recording setup sa bahay. So, talagang kung if you want to pursue yung music, na seryoso ka doon, talagang lalo na ngayon na sobrang ang higpit to move around, di ba? Hindi ka na naman talaga makakapunta sa studio to record kasi ang daming safety protocols na dapat gawin. So, lahat ngayon digital, lahat ngayon pasahan ng files, lahat ngayon maraming ginagawa na element sa bahay, and ibibigay mo doon sa producer mo kung sino yung assigned na producer ng project. So madali naman kasi creative, actually tayong mga musicians, tayong mga creators, we really find creative ways to create our music, to produce music. So lumabas lang lalo yon creativity nating mga creators, mga musicians, na hindi hadlang yung pandemic for us to create good music.
I'll push it pa, Jonathan, kasi ikaw din, parang, oo, there's commercial work, but you've somehow found your voice into like saying whatever it is you feel. No, you've made religious music, and you've made nationalistic music also to like give way to the things you feel about the country. Gaano kahalaga yun ngayon? Kasi we see parang nung mga panahon na tinitest yung lipunan natin, nandyan yung mga apo, nandun yung mga taong, di ba, gumagawa ng even protest music, no? Pero ikaw parang sundot-sundot sa paggawa ng ganyang klaseng relevant music during this challenging times.
Actually, ngayon nga, hinihingi uli yung ganong klaseng content, no? Lalo na ngayon sa nangyayari sa paligid natin. Kailangan talaga na ayun, alam ko na maraming lalabas ng mga songs na magre-reflect kung ano yung kailangan nating i-address na problema sa ating community, sa ating bayan. So, ako meron akong ginagawang project din na binubuo akong music na that will reflect
galing, no?
Kung ano yung nangyayari sa ating bayan ngayon, sa ating
There we appreciate the range, no, of the things that Jonathan can do, Mr. C. And now we go to the next awardee, Aristotle Polisco, na isang nurse. During this pandemic, tumulong din sa mga frontliners. Pero heto, Mr. C, we're awarding him for his artistry and his poetry even, no?
Ako po hindi nurse pa, Sir Noel.
Nurse or tumulong dun sa mga nurses, sa mga frontliners. Pero di ba, may ganyan kang medical background, Aris?
Nag-graduate po ako ng nursing.
Nursing, oo. Yun, nag-graduate ng nursing, oo. Mr. C, what was the whole discussion on Glock 9?
Well, pagka sinasabi natin yung makabagong balagtasan, no? Laging na mention na sa kanyang era, kasi syempre nung time nung end of the 90s going to the 90s, si Magalona, sorry. Francis, no? Si Francis, at saka prior to him, si Andrew E. Okay. Pero alam mo, no, dumating ito, that's why nandyan sa era, nasa kanya yung focus nung 2010 to 2020, dahil talagang bumusilak or dumiyab ang artistry na ni Glock 9, no? So alam namin yan dahil sabay na sabay kami noong time ng Elements. Yung mga kanta niya yung kinakanta namin eh. At si Ebe pa yung kumanta ng Sirena. So you can imagine the strong ang lakas ng impact dahil kakaiba talaga si Glock. Di ba Aris, no? Bakit ganun ang pangalan mo? Aristotle. Tapos naging Glock 9.
Opo, kasi po una po sa lahat, maraming salamat. Katulad po ng lahat ng mga kwento dito, nung nakita ko yung email, mali yata yung nasendan nito. Ako pa nasendan. Pero I'm very, very thankful. Maraming salamat po. And never sa hinagap ko na makakatanggap po ako ng ganung balita. Maraming salamat.
Aris, I have to tell you, people from academe, si Ma'am Dr. Elena Mirano was really raving about your poetry. Parang yun, even people in academe really appreciated what you were writing and what you were doing.
Maraming salamat po. Ako po ay fan lang talaga ng pagsusulat. And fan lang talaga po ako ng music. And yun lang din po yung naging tulong din sa akin na para maitawid ko din yung message na gusto ko din sabihin.
No, what we're excited about you, Glock 9, because, well, nababasa rin namin yung post ni Thea na asawa mo, na parang you're gearing up towards some good things now in the future. To the point na sabi ni Thea, nagsasanla ng mga bags para supportahan yung mga susunod mong steps para ma-realize yung mga gusto nyong gawin.
Sabi ko nga po kay Thea, sabi ko, bakit mo kailangan magsalya ng gamit, no? Just to promote the project. I think, sabi ko, lagi ko sinasabi yung sinabi ni may nagsabi, I think si Sir Francis yata ng The Dawn, you can write the best song na tingin mo, pero if people don't like it, they don't like it. So, so yun, ako lang po, ang rule ko lang is if I like the song na ginawa ko, yun lang din po, ako is sold na doon. And mas pwede ko nang kapalan yung mukha ko sa ibang tao na, ay, okay naman yung ginawa ko, di ba? So, yun.
Pero sa Paris yung noteworthy sa'yo, wala kang keme sa pagko-collab. You've done a lot of collab work during the past decade also.
Yun din naman po yung nakatulong sa akin ng malaking-malaki. I think to widen din yung range ng mga nakapakinig po sa music na ginagawa namin. Kaya I'm very, very thankful po. Siyempre sa mga artists na nakatrabaho ko before, and kung hindi din po dahil sa kanila, kung hindi din po dahil sa inyo din, baka wala po ako sa kung nasaan ako ngayon.
Galing. Now let's go to the next awardee. Of course, institution na, pero he never stopped really doing good work but even the work in the movement. No, Mr. C, talk about Noel Cabangon.
Ayan,
an industry leader also, no?
Ayan naman si Noel eh. Matagal na natin kilala yan dahil marami siyang sobrang ang laki-laki rin ng sakripisyo niyan, mamang yan. Mama talaga. Nag-umpisa yan talagang umaawit sa mga bars, mga katulad ng karamihan ng mga musicians. Pero eventually, itong era na to, natamaan niya yung tamang kombinasyon ng mga awitin for recording. So, hindi lang siya habitué ng mga bars, pero naging hit ang mga albums niya. So, matutuwa ka naman dahil eto siya, si Noel Cabangon, yung mga awitin niya ay tungkol din sa mga social, yung mga importante nangyayari sa kapaligiran. No? Na ikikwento niya sa kanyang mga awit. O yan, Noel.
Hi. Hello, magandang hapon po. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Sir Mr. C. Thank you, Noel.
At walang Noel, no? Tuloy pa rin. Palagi niya sinasabi, ganyan nangyayari sa bansa natin, tuloy pa rin. Gawa pa rin ng gawa, Noel.
Yeah, tuloy lang. Tuloy lang ang laban. Parang ganon. Walang katapusan. Anyway,
fairly difficult for you now to produce new content. Alam ko, ikaw yung last mo, yung recording ng grupo mo, yung reunion. Di ba?
Yeah.
Parang sarili yun, no? Sariling produce na album.
May kaibigan lang kami na naging ang tawag dito, generous, no, na pagsama-samahin kami ulit para makagawa ng isang album na which is very much relevant sa panahon ngayon, no, at sa kung ano yung nangyayari sa ating bayan. Dahil yun naman yung pinanggalingan ko eh. Although naging folk singer ako, pero ang malaking parte ng buhay ko yung pagiging musikero, yung musikerong bayan, no? Na kaladkarin kasi ako na artist eh. Kung saan may rally, nandun ako. Kung saan may advocacy, nandun ako. Mga ganon. So yung may itong nangyaring itong pandemya, medyo mahirap yung paglikha ng musika, yung pag-record, no? But I think for me, dun sa style ko, parang naging conducive yung itong panahon na to. Parang sabi ko si Mr. C, lagi ko sinasabi, kung si Mr. C nakagawa siya ng 9 na kanta nung pandemya, nung quarantine. Nung last year, ako nagagawa ako ng 7. Pwede na. Diba? Parang ngayon, no? Very, I don't know, somehow naging conducive, somehow nandyan yung muses, no? Para magbigay, mag-inspire to create music. But halo-halo, merong mga kanta na tungkol dun sa nararamdaman natin nangyayari dun sa quarantine, sa lockdown. Meron ding may kanta rin na, syempre, yung may analysis din kung bakit. Kasi yun naman yung parang ginagawa natin. May, political, na may analysis at mayroong call to action.
True.
That's
Noel,
what
Noel,
I
Noel.
really... Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Noel.
Yes.
Habulin mo ako, naka-15 na ako.
Ayan na.
Ay, hindi. Wala. Nakadagdag lang ako na, 2 pa lang nadadagdag ko eh. Ang layo mo na. Para ka nang si LeBron James.
Tama yan ang anak na collab, pwedeng collab, di ba, Noel? But also, Noel, thank you for taking on the reins of yung mga industry leadership katulad ng PhilSCAP, yung pagtulong din sa organisasyon ng mga manlilikha. So, yung naging preoccupation mo during this particular decade. Parang reinvention
Yeah, siya. Actually, isa yun sa medyo mabigat na yung na panahon. I was the president of PhilSCAP for 6 years. And at that time, medyo mabigat yung mga problema doon because kailangan i-rebuild yung integrity, yung credibility ng organization. It's not only yung outside, yung external, but also within the organization mismo. Maraming mga factions and we really have to fix that. And then of course yung image namin sa labas, kasi akala nila kumukuha lang talaga kami ng pera in behalf of the composers. Katulad si Glock, si Ebe, si Mr. C, but we also fixed it, and we of course sinabi namin doon sa mga kliyente na pumupunta talaga sa mga composers yung kinokolekta because it's their right, and at the same time ginagamit yung kanilang mga kanta. So syempre hindi lang yon, kundi tumutulong din kami dun sa aming community, na dun sa mga lalo na mga composers na wala na rin talagang kinikita at wala nang matakbuhan. So we also fix that. And isang magandang nangyari is that lumalaki yung aming organization. At every year may mga dumadagdag na mga composers na bago at na bibigyan ng tulong. Especially nitong quarantine, no? Marami kaming natulungan na bigyan ng ayuda. So, ganun.
Yun nga, parang ang laki nung point ng pag-oorganisa. Pero ito yung susunod nating awardee. May gawat buhay naman, pero iba talaga yung distinction. So, kasi parang lumalagpas dun sa pagiging theater group. Pero yung paggamit nila ng malikhaing musika, at sa tingin ko, ilang doon natapos dun sa run nila yung influensya ng Rock of Ages. Mr. C, why did the jury necessary to include the musical theater production like Rock of Ages in the roster?
Alam natin na nangyari yung after yung sa Rock of Ages, marami nang sumunod din, no? So ang binibigyan namin ng halaga ay nauna sila at hindi sila tumitigil sa season sila, na every time ipapalabas nila, lagi pa ring puno at lagi pa ring may bago na sigurong additional na may bago mga gumaganap, pero ganun pa rin ang impact, hindi na pabago. So yun ang isa sa mga gusto namin sabihin, na yung production na yon ang layo ng nagawa, hindi na sa teatro kundi sa paghubog ng Philippine music. Kasi imagine, yung mga awiting ganon, hinalukay nila, ginawa nilang isang bagong form ng media, naging theater form siya, at nagkaroon ng buhay na bago. So congratulations, Maribel.
At natutuwa ako na kasama sila sa mga programs ng iba't ibang sektor, di ba? Maribel, congratulations. Did you realize yun yung legacy ng Rock of Ages? Tumawid na dun sa pagiging theater production into something really important in society. Chang, nakamute ka.
Sorry, para hindi ako maingay. Una, thank you so much, NCCA, Sir Ryan, the jurors, for this award. Nagulat talaga kami, kasi parang, what are we doing there, di ba? Parang, it's a musical. But thank you for the validation. Thank you, because in these very difficult and challenging times for artists, parang it's a gift, parang nakaka-lift rin ng spirits dahil talagang kailangan mag-fight ka given the conditions we're in now, which is not, hindi kasi siya mukhang magbabago in the near future, di ba? Parang matagalan pa to. So all of this is like fills up our love tanks, and I really thank you guys for validating and recognizing Rock and the work that it did. Please, in all fairness, sa Wakas was also produced first in PETA, in our theater, not by PETA, but so that was a series of that. But I think it was also parang siguro one of the things that we wanted to do when you were, Rock was our very first jukebox musical. PETA has always had a tradition of music. Our members are Gardy Labad, Vincent Jesus, so we've a long tradition of music. But it was the first time we did jukebox musical, and I think one of the things that when we were doing it, one of the things that evolved is this idea of how do you cross over OPM into another art and then expand that and make that also available to this generation and appreciated in other forms. And I think yun yung function ng theater, not just PETA and all the other people who followed after us, is how do we evolve OPM and create now narratives around them, make them live for every generation and make them interesting. I think this is the way that we actually evolve our culture. And so we're very grateful that AGs was so gracious about the music and they didn't give us a hard time, and I will forever be grateful to them. And then how that also helped us in terms of evolving an aesthetic that we use in the company now. Ganon.
Maribel, so ano pa yung buhay ng Rock of Ages after yun nga, the presentations? Have you done KTX already?
Not yet. We're planning to do that soon. Actually, we're late na ata. Hopefully we'll stream it. We're still kind of fixing some stuff, but we're planning to stream it this year.
Galing. And Noel Cabangon will help you na sana magawa niyo na talaga yung recording.
Sana.
Kausapin mo na lahat ng mga kailangang kausapin.
Diba?
Not to make it so difficult for theater to use original Filipino music.
That's
From publishers to Philstop. Be supportive.
Pero mamaya tatanungin natin ano yung mga pandemic learnings na parang kahit na pagkatapos ng pandemic pwede nating madala, di ba? Lalo na dito sa practice ng music. But we go to the last awardee for this decade, Mr. C. Tito, masayang-masaya tayo kasi hindi siya tao, hindi siya grupo, pero isa siyang lugar. Mamaya, siguro si Noel o yung mga inabutan to, halos lahat ng mga kilala natin na ginagalang din natin at nag-perform dito sa lugar na to, Mr. C.
Yeah, alam mo to, napaka-significant na lugar precisely nga dahil ang pinag-usapan ng jury na nakakaalam sa lugar na yon, maaari talaga mag-perform kahit sino, kahit mga baguhan, yung mga pwedeng mag-perform yung mga talaga may pangalan, tapos daming manonood, pero open sila sa mga baguhan, yung mga nag-umpisa pa lamang. So ito talaga, isa ito sa mga tuwan-tuwa yung mga jury na nabanggit na kailangan manalo sila. Ayan. Itong grupo na, itong lugar na to, sige, pagbanggit na, yung 70s na yan.
Bro Bar. Maraming salamat talaga. Can someone talk about your contribution? Did you even realize na malaking pasalamat ng industriya po sa inyo?
Okay. Good afternoon sa lahat. This July Marcelino, the 70s Bistro. Una, thankful po. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa gulat na award na to sa NCAA, NCCA, and then sa buo po lahat ng jury. Una po talagang sa loob po, this coming December, nasa 30 years na po kami.
Wow!
Wow! Kami po yung nagpapasalamat, lalo na sa mga artists na patuloy pa rin tangkilik at nanonood sa amin. At kami po sa tingin po namin, hindi lang po kami isang bar o entablado. Yun po yung parang naging aim po namin, talagang para po sa lahat po ng artist natin sa ngayon. At yun lang po ang pinangahawakan namin na patuloy po na naitataguyod hanggang ngayon, kundi lang dahil sa pandemic, kami tumigil. Pero sana po, hoping na matapos po ito, and then in this coming 30 years na po natin sa industry, sana po tumagal pa na mayroon pong the 70s Bistro Bar na naglilingkod sa mga artist at mga tumatangkilik.
At mura yung beer, no? Sir, paano yun? Sarado ho kayo ha? Well, paano po yung paano yung operations? Paano yung mga yung tao doon?
Yan po talaga nakakalungkot na pangyayari dahil siyempre dahil po hindi naman po talagang sa loob po ng till now sarado po ang 70s Bistro. Kasi po talaga nagplano po talaga kami na kahit paano mag-open, pero po nung makita namin ng siyempre po ang bistro po hindi po talaga sanay sa ganung volume na kung magiging 50% or 30%, siguro kung ilan po sa inyo nakagawin na doon, talagang parang hindi po kayang gawin ng bistro yun. Kaya nga nag-try kami noong December, and then nakita po namin yung lineup, talagang very kundi yung mga lineup, kaya hindi po namin kayang ituloy. Iyo kaya usapin sa mga tao, sa empleyado, talagang nakakalungkot. Very supportive din naman yung mga tao, naunawaan nila sitwasyon. Hoping sana na matapos pandemic, and then naniniwala ako na kami na lang din sa ngayon medyo isa sa matagal na sana wag kaming mawala.
Sana nga po kasi marami nang nawalang mga lugar, pero yun nagsistation. Yung sa 30th anniversary niyo po, ano yung pinapangarap nyong pagsasama-sama ng mga nag-perform na po sa 70s Bistro? Sino po yung natatandaan yung parang kinilabutan kayo at pinaka-significant at nagtatak sa inyo?
Actually, to credit po sa past, ako po kung tawagin po natin, second generation na lang po sa mga owner. And then, ako po nasa 10 years pa lang din. Parang ako yung pinaka-bunso na owner. Kaya po, siguro, halos lahat naman po, kung di ko nagkakamali, lahat naman po na dumaan dyan. From e-heads, then lahat naman po. Siguro po talagang jump up po talaga yun. And then, yung parokya. Then, lalo na yung mga millennial ngayon, mga December Avenue. And then, nandiyan po naman din sila lahat ngayon. Pero, gaya po ng nabanggit po ni Sir Ryan, talagang kung tawagin po natin, from titos to titas, from the new millennial, welcome po sa atin yan. Talagang kailangan po nating
sana talaga
kailangan po nating iangat po natin. Magtutulungan ang bar, and then artist, and then lahat po ng taga-tangkilik po ng bar.
Galing. Sana magbukas po kayo ulit, sir. Anyway, as a last question para sa lahat, no, yun nga, ano yung post-pandemic scenario kaya? Ano yung mga natutunan natin ngayong pandemya, yung lessons that we learned, na pwede rin nating dalhin doon sa sinasabi nilang post-pandemic scenario sa larangan ng musika? Can we start with the choir? Sige, let's start with Mark and then Jojo. Nakamute, yeah. Nakamute, yeah, Mark.
Sorry, yes. Last year kasi, we continued yung aming non-performing, and we're not able to perform, pero tuloy-tuloy yung aming mga workshops and yung pagtuturo, pag-share, and we're continuing with that. Actually, medyo madami this year. Akala namin magiging kasi mag-relax kami, pero mas naging busy. So we have not only local but international as well. So meron kami mga activities with other choirs internationally. Yeah.
Wow.
And of course there are the recordings that we're gonna do at home. Pero we'll try to come up with a very good quality recording album.
Very good. Jojo, kayo sa ACS, Ateneo Chamber Singers?
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang buhay, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang pagkanta. Actually, nakasalang kami for Holy Week Triduum sa
Good.
Ateneo. So if you're planning to attend, Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Black Saturday, Easter Vigil sa Ateneo, kumakanta po kami. Tapos, ang susunod na major project na, Pasko na.
Yeah. Di ba ngayon yung Pasko na lahat yata naglabas ng Christmas songs? Kasi di ba may oras yung mga tao para sumulat ng mga bagong...
Okay na ba? Okay na.
Very good, very good. Ebe, next efforts post-pandemic?
As much as I can, sir. Tuloy-tuloy po yung paggawa ng kanta at yun din I encourage all the musicians out there, hindi po ibig sabihin na dahil di tayo makatugtog sa harap na ibang tao, tumitigil po tayo. Palagi po tayong yung music palaging kailangan ng mundo. So let's keep doing our share to make the world a better place.
And I want to see the products of your the outputs of your students.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you very much.
Gerard, what can you expect from you and the next moves after the pandemic?
Well, it all depends on the rules and what people are allowed to do and what they can't, the restrictions now. From September till the beginning of November, we were actually allowed to go into the concert hall here. So what we did was we recorded 5 Beethoven symphonies and a bunch of chamber pieces as well for smaller groups. And I conducted half of the works that the orchestra performed, the symphonies, but I had to produce all the recordings. So I had my hands full. I was the only guy in the whole organization with any sort of music production experience. We have a great studio, but we needed someone to look over. So, and we have uploaded all of that to MPO's YouTube channel, which I encourage everyone to subscribe to and like.
Ayan na. Go.
Yeah, you can see a lot of and basically for now, what we're doing is we're digging into our archive, trying to see what else we can post. The Education and Outreach Department of the Malaysian Philharmonic is very active, and now we're trying to put together a series of videos for public and private schools in Malaysia to introduce them to classical music, introduce them to the symphony orchestra. And in Manila, I'm still working with the OFY, of course, and what we're doing this year is reviewing their training system. So I put together a whole new faculty for them and keep them busy, keep them learning, and keep them encouraged. It's probably the battle cry for us this year. But hopefully, when things lighten up here in Malaysia, we'll be allowed to go back into the hall and keep recording more, because that's going to be the new way for a while, at least, until people can come into the concert hall.
We're so proud of you, Maestro Gerard, and ang sarap lang ng feeling na nagkasama-sama kayong pamilya ulit dyan habang pinupost mo kasama mo na si DJ, no? Tsaka yung mga bata.
I was away from them for 6 months because I've been here in Malaysia since March.
Ang galing.
And then they came in September lang.
Ibang klase.
And then I went to their quarantine hotel, saw them from outside the hotel. It was like the 2 weeks that I was going there every day sa parking lot just to wave at them from outside. Nakakalungkot talaga.
Ang realidad, di ba? Pero at least we're connected now pa rin. Yeah. Well, Aris, ikaw, excited kami sa mga susunod mong gagawin.
Opo, nung una po kasi nung start ng pandemic, sabi ko sa sarili ko parang siguro mga 3 months lang to eh. I think hindi yata papayag ang China and US na tumagal to ng grabe. And then after mga 3 hanggang 5 months, medyo nag-panic na ako. Bumili na po ako ng sarili kong microphone, pang-record sa bahay, nag-aral na ako mag-edit, and yun. Kaya po lahat ng releases ko sa aking YouTube channel,
galing.
Ako po lahat. Ako nag-shoot ng video, ako yung nagre-record ng vocals ko at least. Ibabato ko lang po dun sa gagawa ng music. And napakalaki din na tulong sa akin din nung kung meron man maganda na dala sa akin yung pandemic, natuto ako ng madaming bagay. Kasi I always thought na ang thinking ko lagi, iwanan ko na sa expert kung yung gagawin na pag-record and paggawa ng mga bagay na yun. Pero yun, wala pong, ngayon, yun lang din ang nabigay sa atin ng pandemic. We need to excel sa kahit anong ginagawa natin. Parang we need to learn more. And alam ko naman ng mga Pinoy, ibang klase sa ganyan eh. Kung meron man talagang mag-excel sa panahon ng kagipitan eh, mga Pilipino yan. So,
ang galing. At isa ka ring model. Model ka, di ba? Ang galing ng mga pictorials. Iba fashion icon din.
Ako po!
May clothing lines.
Ay, ano lang po yun talaga, wala lang talagang malaki lang talaga pangangailangan kaya lahat pinapasok.
Hindi, pero yun nga, ang daming pwedeng puntahan. Jonathan Manalo, ano pang expect namin? Alam kong ang dami.
Meron po akong i-release na EP sa Valentine's Day. Ang title po nun ay Puot at Pag-ibig. Ito po ay may laman na 6 na kanta na i-release ko 1 song a day. So 6 days starting from February.
Galing. We'll look forward to that. Jonathan, ikaw.
Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat. Jonathan, ikaw naman, awarded singer.
Wala, nagkataon lang yon. Pero gusto kong invite nga again everyone. Yung Himig Handog will have its grand finals sa March 21. Nakakatuwa na itong batch na to sobrang daming mga bata, mga new discoveries, and yun nga ako ang talagang magiging goal talaga in the future is to discover more young singer-songwriters, mabigyan sila ng break, matulungan silang ma-hone yung kanilang craft and get their music out.
Acapella Go. Bogart.
Yes po.
What's next for Acapella Go?
Well, bago po yun, isa sa mga realizations lang din na namin sa grupo namin during the time of pandemic, simple lang naman. Hindi hadlang yung pandemya. Kasi despite na merong pandemic, nakapaglabas pa rin kami ng songs, nakasali pa kami sa isang festival sa Hong Kong, pero nandito lang kami. Diba? Nakapag-celebrate pa kami ng 8th year as a group at 5th year namin sa industry na pinalabas namin, nilabas din namin dun sa concert namin nung parang year-ender na rin last December in the spirit of harmony. And as we speak, ngayon po, merong segment of palabas po ang DepEd ngayon. Naka-live po sila. At they will be using our song Sana Bukas as their parang theme song. So patuloy kaming gagawa para lilikha. So target namin, kasulat naman kami ng original. So yeah.
Galing. Pelago at nandito yung mga miyembro. Maraming salamat. You wanna say anything more? Maraming salamat sa inyo.
Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much. Ito, Poon Institusyon, Noel Cabangon. After pinagsama-sama yung buklod, ano pa yung pwede naming asahan?
Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pagiging errand boy ko dito sa bahay. Ngayon, dahil ako lang yung nakakalabas saka pwedeng maging errand boy. And anyway, may mga i-release din po ako ngayong taon na to. Pero I think ang tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung ginagawa namin sa Philpop. Meron kaming digital camp na gagawin. Songwriting pa rin. But ang isa sa mga projects ko with the other artists like Davey Langit, Gary Granada, Melvin Morales sa Baguio is that siseryosohin na namin si Ryan yung Amyanan Pop kasi parang nahuhuli na kami. This is going to be yung Amyanan Pop parang katulad ng Min Pop, This Pop, kung ano pang pop dyan. Ito naman Amyanan, but it's really going to encourage writing songs on our vernacular, no? So ebe magsulat ka na sa Ilocano o kaya sa Ibanag. So ayun kasi I think and we're going to have our competition in July. So that's going to be like also the kick-off. So sana mangyari. Kaya NCCA, pwede po bang lumapit po sa inyo? So, yun.
So, yun. Celebrated, illustrious, and yun, empowered at magaling. So, yun kayo. Maraming salamat, Noel. Now we go to Maribel Legardo, whose Bongga Kaday soon, no? It's brewing. Nakamute ka, Chang. Yan.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, no, for Peto, we pivoted, no? So most of our work's online now. We teach workshops and stuff like that. And we just shot UMS, yung play namin on AIDS. So we're gonna put that online. And we just finished putting Care Divas and One Tamad and 1896 online. They're all our musicals also. And then, this June, sometime, we're going to, Rock of Ages, we're going to stream it. And and then maybe we'll have a spin-off of Rock, but that's a secret. I'll tell you when it's for sure. Not a secret
Very
anymore.
good. Tuloy yung buhay sa Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
Tapos, sir,
Tuloy-tuloy lang.
70s Bistro, sir. So, 30th anniversary this December, sabi nyo. Sana matuloy na.
Yes, hoping and pray, no? Like I said, makakalungkot man sabihin na gano'n. Talagang we pray na talagang kasi like sa amin kasi as a establishment where talagang from the beginning of March it's a zero income. Nakakalungkot. And then talagang kung magpapatuloy pa to sana wag mangyari. Pero ganun pa man, ang support namin talagang ipaglalaban pa rin namin na talagang ituloy pa rin ang siguro isa sa matanda na lang din kung tawagin na bar sa atin, hindi po namin pabayaan na tuloy pa rin tayo na para sa artist at sa ating musikang Pilipino.
Maraming salamat and we're looking forward to that at kaisa niyo po kami, Sir, sa 70s Bistro. Isabel, any final reminders to our awardees bago tayo magtapos? Si Isabel po yung key person natin sa awarding ceremonies. Isabel, go.
I would just like to congratulate everyone as well as the previous decade that we had kanina. And just a few reminders lang, we will be announcing the awarding ceremony super soon. We're actually going to have a meeting with the technical working group on Monday and hopefully lahat ma-approve ng NCCA. Yun naman talaga ang pinupush namin. So, yun, abang-abang lang kasi syempre it's always a long process for government. Yun po.
Well, realistically, baka magkaroon ng isang virtual awarding. Kaya kailangan namin yung kooperasyon ninyo. Tapos nun, kung maayos-ayos na katulad ng panalangin ni Sir July, sa last quarter ng taon, na sabihin ko na rin para ma-pressure sila easy, gusto namin dun sa bagong bukas na Metropolitan Theater.
Hopefully. Kasi yun naman po ang original.
Tayo magkaroon ng isang parang tribute performance ng bawat isa dun sa Metropolitan Theater.
We might also request, so I'll closely coordinate with each and every one of you where I might request for videos from you na we can use for the virtual awarding. But yun, we'll talk about it on Monday and relay everything to you guys.
Significant and inspiring kasi yun yung kailangan natin ngayon. Kailangan ng bansa natin ngayon. Mr. C, final words for this afternoon's gathering.
Of course, congratulations to everyone. Pero I really have to thank Noel Ferrer for being so makulit and so for spearheading this kasi siya ho talaga yung nag-umpisa nito. At kung hindi ho siya makulit, hindi pa nila ilalabas yung hindi pa lalabas yung announcement.
True
Kasi
yan.
noong December ko pa hinihintay itong announcement na to. Sobra ko ng sabik na sabik. Tapos si Noel po, ang talagang meron pa ka na nito. Noel, maraming salamat sa iyo.
Maraming salamat, Mr. C, kasi gusto natin, after the Decade Awards, sana bawat taon, lahat tayo sa music and sa industriya or sa na nagpa-practice ng music, tayo yung mismong boboto or mag-elect nung sarili nating, ayun, parang sa taon na yon, ano yung pinaka-grabbing achievement sa musika na nararamdaman nating lahat. So every year, kahit isa lang, yung walang category, no? Pwedeng educator, pwedeng kanta, pwedeng instrumentalist, pwedeng yun, kahit sa region. So yun, magandang simula ito at sana magtuloy-tuloy. Kung hindi man, NCCA dapat inaasahan natin yan, itutuloy natin.
Hanggang nandito ako itutuloy ko.
Anyway, ang nangyari during the pandemic, yun nga, family, friends, faith, food. Si Mr. C nandyan, yun, pagkain para sa katawan, the body, and food for the soul, kasama yung musika. Pero yung huli, yung commitment natin doon sa Filipinos, yung sa bansa natin. At yun, lahat tayo committed doon at kitang-kita yon doon sa musika. Maraming salamat sa pag-level up nyo kasama namin ngayong hapon. Tapos yun, sama-sama tayo sa awarding at pagkatapos doon, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung laban, tuloy pa rin yung pagkilos at tuloy na sinasabi ni Noel at ni Maribel. Thank you. And next week, we're having naman the 10 Outstanding Young Men. And yun, nag-confirm na si Mayor Vico Soto kasama ng iba't ibang outstanding naman sa kanilang mga sektor. See you. Thank you. And good afternoon. Maraming salamat.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Go out and vote.
Stay safe. Stay safe, everyone.
And register.
Bye.
Dapat pa rin yung go out and vote. Yes, pag-register po tayo.
Thank you.
Di kailanman mapipigilan pagbuhos ng ulan. Ang buhay sadyang ganyan.
At kaya ng papago-pagong pag-ihip ng hangin. Lahat ay lilipas at magsasalita.
Huwag kang mabahala, huwag mataranta. Hindi kailangan ang mag-alilangan pa.
Isipin mo laging nandito lamang ang aking balikat, sa'yo'y nakaabang.
Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo
Tuwing nagdidilim ang langit, di ba't nagpapakita ang buwan? Hanggang mag-umaga na naman.
Tara't hintayin na natin magsikat ang iyong araw. Hanggang sa magliwanag muli ang lahat. Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo. Asahan mo, hindi ka iiwan sa mundo. Lahat may hangganan, asahan mo. Wala nang atrasan sa iyong bawat hakbang na pupuntahan. Pangako kailanman, agad akong nandyan. Sang tawag mo lang. Sang tawag mo lang.